Everybody, what is going on? It is Friday, July 8th, 2022. Before y'all go ahead and leave those comments, make sure y'all go ahead and hit that like button on the stream. Make sure y'all go ahead and share it on your various social media platforms. If you have not done so also already, make sure that you have that bell click. And also be sure to have your notifications set to all on your mobile devices. And y'all know I had posted like a video up talking about how to do that. You just go into your settings, go into notifications, then scroll down to YouTube, your YouTube app, and then have your notifications set to all. That way you can get it on your device as well, because if you just have it on your laptop or your computer and don't have it on your phone, sometimes you won't get it on your phone. Excuse me. Let's see, who do we have in here so far? Darlene, Ashton, how are y'all doing? As y'all can see by the title, it says Micah X Johnson Day. Wonderful day indeed. His birthday was a few days ago. His birthday was this past Sunday, I believe. But today was the day that he did what he felt he had to do down in Dallas, Texas, back in 2016. A day that none of us should ever forget, honestly. The new B1 media is a lifesaver. What's going on? Aboriginal woman, salute to you. Joseph Washington, what's going on? Have a different, variety of topics to discuss today, but we just wanted to do this stream in dedication to Micah X Johnson, making that strong warrior-like sacrifice that he felt he had to make. Last way, Micah got busy on my born day. So today's your birthday. Well, happy birthday, Black Suede. I said, no, not all heroes wear capes. You're right about that. James, what's going on? Tawana, how are you? Just going to wait for more of the family to come in, and we'll go ahead and get started. I hope everybody had a good week. I know I did. Today started off pretty much good for me because my gas tank was able to fill to its full capacity today for the first time in a very long time, considering gas is just absolutely out of control nowadays. So I'm very excited about that. That's probably one of the most adulting things I can ever say, but it is what it is. See, Fight for Black, what's going on? Janesta, how are you? Kevin, peace to you. Mark, salute to you. Vulcan, how are you doing? It's been a lot of stuff that has been going on this week. I had to constantly add more stories to the lineup in the live that I wanted to discuss. And it's like that's one of the hardest things when it comes to doing these live streams is you don't know which topics you want to cover in a live stream, and you don't know which ones you want to cover in a pre-recorded video. But so that's the hard part for me, is deciding which ones to talk about on at the end of the week and which ones to put out throughout the week. That's very difficult for me to do, especially since I talk about so many different things. Jerome, J Cage, Explore. Let's see who else is in here. Afro, Elite. Hope y'all are all doing well. Also, how many of y'all, because I finally got a chance to listen to it, how many of y'all got a chance to listen to the interview that Tariq did with DJ Academics on Spotify? I actually got a chance to finally listen to it today. I got through the first hour of it the first 30 minutes of cardio listening to it, and then I listened to the other hour and a half when I got home, on my way home and after I got home. That was a very good discussion, I should say. Pretty much laid it out, pretty much all out right there. I want that same thing to happen to the Coonstress. I want the same thing to happen to her. Jerome said you did. Ashton said it was good. Darlene said not me. Joseph said he did. Karen said not me. It was just him talking to DJ Academics mainly about FBA, the status of FBA in the nation. The stuff that Tariq usually always talks about on here. But DJ Academics always has some slick stuff to say when it comes to us. And Tariq pretty much laid it out. The debate or the discussion is about 2 hours long. So if you can carve out like 2 hours of your time and just go ahead and listen to it, or if you have like if you're at work and you need something to listen to help you get you through 2 hours of your day, or if you're going on a long drive, then I would highly suggest checking it out. It was really good. And it's on Spotify and it's free to listen to, so it's not like you have to pay to listen to it. I don't know if Tariq is going to put it up on his YouTube channel or if DJ Academics put it up on his YouTube channel, but I do know that it is on Spotify, and that's how I listen to it. JK said he interviewed her too. Yeah, I know he interviewed her because I think that interview that he did with her is what sparked him to actually do the interview. That was sparked Tariq to want to do the interview with him. But I said I want Tariq to go against her. But it was really good. So if y'all have not checked it out as of yet, I would highly suggest that you do. It was really, really good. A lot of information. It literally had DJ Academics in some capacity, like literally stumbling over some of his words. Ashton said that was faster, that cop who killed some. Yeah. And and before we get started, shout out to this summer's pull-up season just being so elite. Speaking of Afro elite, for pulling up on these people, and I'm gonna do a video about this, but you know, Timothy Loman, the one who murdered Tamir Rice, he got a new job, or he had one. But when people got wind of that, he ended up getting moved. Like he ended up resigning from that position. He wasn't even in. He just got sworn in and was probably not even at that position for like 2 days and was gone, like in 48 hours. Then you had people pulling up trying to find what's her face, Carolyn Bryant. They're still looking for her. Like they've been going on a hunt for her for like the last 2 or 3 days. Ever since they found out that that warrant was still active and they found it, they've been on the prowl looking for her. Kid Gravity said, TR got yeeted. What do you mean I got yeeted? Still rain. I don't think I'll be seeing it. The trailer looks nice, but based on what people have said or did research on when it comes to this, I think I might pass on that as well. Honestly. RG Titan, salute to you. Amara, what's going on? Oh, you said I froze. Oh, all you gotta do is refresh the page when it does that. Oh, and by the way, y'all may or may not recognize it or realize it, but what I did is hold on, I got a super chat. Let me address this right quick. Shout out to Justin Marsh for the super sticker. He said hippo character with a pink hat flips it back and raises his thumbs up in the air. Oh, that's I forgot. On Restream, I'm reading it off the Restream, so it literally describes what the sticker is instead of like putting the image out there. I have to look at my phone and look at the chat in YouTube to actually see what it was. I'm looking at it. What is this? But shout out to the super for the super sticker. I appreciate it. But anyway, y'all probably may not have recognized it, but I actually I had my webcam, I disconnected it, and I took a camera that I had. It's like a Sony A6400, and I got a cam link and I hooked it up and I turned my camera into a webcam. So if it comes through looking a little bit more clearer than how it was before, that's why. I had this camera just sitting around for months and I didn't use it. And I said, I need to find something to do with it because I'm not just going to not use it and like let it continue to collect dust. So I hooked it up and made it into a webcam. So there you go. Again, shout out to Amara for the super chat. It says, you're the man, Taurean. I appreciate it. I definitely appreciate it. Oh, snap. It is 5:11. That means it is time to get this show started. So let me go ahead and share my screen. And get this thing like So it's actually some good stories that I have, like some good stories that I have coming up first before we get into the more heavy-hitting ones. And this one right here definitely deserves to be highlighted. And I have to give a shout out. I forgot who it was. It was one of my patrons that sent me this story, but I can't remember it. I can't remember exactly who it was. They're in this chat. I hope they're watching. But shout out to you because you sent me this, I think, yesterday. And this is a very good, feel-good story right here. And let me go ahead and play the video.
Follow up on the heroic rescue in Jackson County. A woman trapped in her car with her friends sinking to the Pascagoula River, now sharing her story with us and thanking the people who rushed to the rescue. Amber Spradley reports.
19-year-old Cora Watson is retracing her steps and looking back on the moment she and her two friends drove straight off the I-10 boat launch into the Pascagoula River.
There's no lights down here or nothing, so everything was just pitch black. The GPS thought we was on top of the interstate. That's why it was telling us to go straight, because it did not say it was water here or nothing.
She was in the back seat as the vehicle sank about 20 feet out, the three escaping from the passenger window.
I automatically went straight down. I still have my phone, trying to keep it above water.
With 911 on the line, she says, but unable to swim, bobbing up and back under, fighting to catch a breath.
I see my friends, they on shore, but it's like I'm the only one. I was the only one left in the water.
I heard Cora screaming hell, she looked like she was finna, I thought she was done.
Brothers Kayron and Caleb Bradley jumped in, along with 16-year-old Corian Evans.
We had no choice but to help.
My first reaction, all I knew was getting in the water. It was like, if you weren't gonna get in the water, you would just watch them die or something like that.
If I inhale one more bit of water, I'm going to die. I just knew I was. I knew my last breath was coming. And so I just let my phone down, and then I was just like this, trying to stay calm and stay over water. But my mind already said, you slowly losing yourself.
According to the Moss Point Police Department, Evans helped rescue the three girls, along with responding officer Gary Mercer.
When I tell you right before my last time going underwater, that was going to be my last time going underwater. Gloria had grabbed me.
And I was right there looking at it, so I couldn't just watch nobody die. Even when I seen a police officer, I couldn't just sit there and watch nobody die.
Still recovering, Watson says she's blessed to be a survivor.
I can't walk into no dark room this pitch black because I automatically go back straight into the water. Randomly, through random times, I just start hearing the water. I start hearing the bridge.
Sounds she hopes soon fade away. In Moss Point, Amber Spradley, WLOX News Now.
Okay, so y'all heard that right there. That's an amazing story right there. It could have ended very, very differently. Very differently. And that's scary. She said that she was driving on the road and the GPS was telling her to go one way. And it didn't tell her that it was leading off of something leading into water. It didn't tell her that. So that just shows you right there that even in so-called advanced technology, it can be wrong. Because for the most part, everybody uses GPS nowadays. I can't remember the last time anybody used the map. And she said also it was dark, so they couldn't see anything. So imagine you are driving off of something thinking that it's a road. You go into the water, it's dark outside, and then the water on top of that is dark itself. That's some scary shit. So definitely kudos to those guys being there, to those boys being there. Because like she said, if they weren't there, she definitely would have died. And she says she's now if you heard hear her in her voice and see in the video, she is traumatized by this. She is traumatized. She says she's scared of dark areas now. She's scared of the water because of that. They usually always say that something that brings you trauma is always going to be something that's going to stick with you for a very long time until your trauma subsides or just dissipates on its own. But however long that takes. So she's most likely going to have to seek some type of therapy if she isn't already. But I definitely give kudos to those boys for doing what had to be done. And that's not the first time I've heard stories like this. I've heard stories where it was a story where it was a black boy, I think down in Georgia. It was one of them southern states. It was this little girl. It was a little PC girl. She got kidnapped by some random person, and he literally followed the people who kidnapped her on a bike and ended up rescuing her on a bike. Not a car, but on a bike. Do you know how hard he had to be pedaling to keep up with a car? Let me see what some of y'all are saying on the chat. Donna said, I hope she gets therapy. Ashley says, I don't blame her. Karen says, Sean, she got herself a good dose of PTSD. SB said that she was holding her phone above water after calling 911 for them to get a location. That was definitely smart on her part. But yeah, definitely, it was a story that could have had a tragic ending, but thankfully it did not. But let's move on to another feel-good story. Now, this is a feel-good story in the sense of a person getting what they deserve. And that is none other than Eric Holder Jr. being found guilty of first-degree murder in murdering Nipsey Hussle. Much deserved. And when I saw this, and I saw the images of him after he got beat up behind bars, I said, that's one of many beatings that you will be receiving for the rest of your life. Because 9 times out of 10, you're going to be spending life behind bars. When I saw that picture of him getting beat up, I said, oh, this is just the beginning. And when I found this out, yeah, it's a wrap for him. And I hope, and based on what on that picture, it sounds to me like he's in Gen Pop. That doesn't scream protective custody to me. Because if it was protective custody, he would have came in there with no bruises or no fractured jaw, like they messed his face up. Law said he's been in protective custody. I couldn't tell by looking at that picture. I couldn't tell. Maybe now they'll put him in Gen Pop. That's where he needs to be. That's where he deserves to be. It's a wrap for him. He's done. He is out of there. And rightfully so. Law 064 said he was in protective custody before his court date. Well, if that's how he looked in protective custody, maybe they need to put him back there and go back in again. That's going to be a very lonely, I can say, express ride for him while he's locked up. Still Rain said the CEOs could have set him up too because they like to do stuff like that. You know, you got a point there because the same thing happened with Dylan Roof. Because remember, he was in the shower or something like that, and the door was conveniently left cracked open, and that guy Christopher I think last name Dwayne Stafford went in there and literally beat him. And black people got on code and put money on his books, and he got released like at the end of the week. And of course, they ended up moving Dylan Roof to like another prison because of that. So you're probably right. He probably is in protective custody, and the CEOs probably left a door open for them to get in there. So you do have, so Still Rain, you definitely have a strong point with that. But this is definitely the righteous and well-deserved sentencing for this guy. I couldn't see him getting anything less, honestly. And the biggest part of it is he got found guilty of murder in the first degree. That's like one of the biggest, that's like the highest form right there. I don't feel bad for him. I know y'all listening in the chat don't feel bad for him either. Keith Cunningham said he was in PC, but they put him in with Latinos that were Nipsey fans. I have a feeling that a lot of the people in there were Nipsey fans. So he literally shot himself in the foot, or maybe he should have shot himself in the foot, like pull a Plexico Burrs or something before he pulled the gun and shot Nipsey and killed him. Ashton said, I still believe this was a setup to kill this man. It's funny you say that because when Tariq was talking to academics on the little debate or discussion, he was talking about that, how he feels that this was probably a setup. I'm not going to go into the whole diatribe about that, but if y'all listen to it or are aware of what it is, you can see why many would assume that. But I will say y'all know that if y'all follow me on Instagram, or if y'all were listening to the stream I did when I went to LA, when I came back, I was talking about how I went to Slauson and went to the Marathon store. I didn't go in the store because it was blocked off by a gate, like a fence. But I took some pictures outside of there. So I got a chance to experience what now, in my opinion, will most likely be as a monument. Kieran said, I definitely don't care what happens to him. He will be fighting for his life for a long time. Oh, yes. For a very long time, probably for life. Because I highly, like, with this guilty verdict, he ain't getting out. It's a wrap for him. But with that being said, speaking of, we're going on to the next one. We're kind of moving right along. Speaking of a person who is another person who's going behind bars, and rightfully so, Jerry Harris. Who knows who Jerry Harris is? Y'all should, as much as I had talked about him over the last couple of years. Who in here knows or is aware of Jerry Harris? I think I first started talking about Jerry Harris back in 2020. I think 2020. Sean from the Shy say, I'm laughing at how you wrote that. Ashton said, I know who he is. Jennifer said, Mr. Thang who cheers. Vahan said, Jerry Harris might even be the fastest rise and fall in the history of Hollywood. Okay, so it seems like everyone remembers who Jerry Harris. I just have to ask you, do y'all remember who he is? Because a lot of times they will bury these type of stories when these stories need to stay above ground. But this is Jerry Harris right here. He was a part of this Netflix series called Cheers, where he was a male cheerleader, and he basically was accused of sexually assaulting his students. And these were male students that he was sexually assaulting, because as we all know, Jerry Harris is in the academy. Now, you want to know what's so interesting before I go on? Last week, I did a video about that drag queen whose name was Anastasia Diamond. It was a black drag queen who had like 25 counts of CP attached to their name. Now we have this coming up the following week. So he was found guilty, and he has been sentenced to 12 years in prison for 2 child sex crimes, as you can see right there. And he's 22 years of age, which means when he gets out, he will be in his 30s. Yeah, he'll be in his early 30s. Yeah, when he gets out. It says that Fed charges receiving CP and traveling with the intention to engage in illegal sexual conduct. It says he admitted to soliciting sexual acts and explicit pictures from between 10 and 15 minors. Once he gets out of prison, Harris will be under supervised release for 8 years. They need to put him on the sex offenders list too if they haven't already. So his life doesn't end after the 12 years. His life really doesn't get back on track until he's damn near 40, well, around 40. His life is pretty much done too. Just like Eric Holder Jr., his life is done too. Now I need to ask a question. Has the Academy come out and said anything about this? And when I say the Academy, I'm talking about the black ones, since he's black himself. Someone said it was a comment I saw him. Trying to see if I can go back. Okay, I'm seeing some people in the chat said that they never heard of this. And like I said, I'm not surprised that you didn't hear about it. I'm not surprised that you did. Like I said, a lot of times I wouldn't know about a lot of the things if people didn't send me things. This was a story that was sent to me. I didn't just kind of stumble upon it. But when I first heard about it, I said, let me talk about it and stay on top of this. I've been following this thing from the beginning. The last time I spoke about this was when he was found guilty, and that was I think back in February. And this is going to be probably the last update, since now we know he's getting sentenced to 12 years. Now, notice it said that he's not getting sentenced up to 12 years. It says he got sentenced to 12 years, which means he has to do those 12 years. Salute to you, Maximus. He has to do those 12 years, and he has to do supervised release for 8 years, which means he's literally going to be having like a bird or a helicopter hovering over his life for 8 years after he gets out of prison. So his life for the next 20 years is literally in the hands and the arms of the feds for the next 20 years. So you're talking about in 2042 is when his life will kind of be free from the clutches of the feds. That's a long time. But guess what? It's what he deserves. I don't feel bad for him either. Shout out to you. The new B1 Media is a lifesaver for the super chat. He said he better keep both eyes open because y'all know they're coming for him. Oh, yes, most likely. And I think I saw someone leave a comment in here saying he was messing with little white boys. It wouldn't surprise me because I saw, like, when I was looking at the story and I was looking at the previews, like the little clips they would show from the show, he was like that token. Like, he was like one of the only black male cheerleaders or instructors out of the whole lineup, and all the kids that were there that they were instructing were PC. This story kind of reminds me of one I talked about. I think it was a guy down in Mississippi. It was a black guy who was also in the academy as well. And he was a dance instructor. And he too got found guilty of sexually assaulting his students. Like literally doing some of the same things that Jerry Harris, like he's saying Jerry Lewis. Jerry Harris was doing, like literally the same thing, like literally taking trips to see him, flying them out, and all types of stuff. And on top of what made that guy's situation worse was this guy had the gift that keeps on giving, if you know what I mean. So he was literally exposing these minors to STDs. Shout out to Sean from the Shine for the super chat. Says now he can recruit a new cheer team. Here we go. You know, you sound like kind of reminds me of The Longest Yard. That's what it kind of reminds me of. Shout out to Keith Cunningham for the super chat. I appreciate it. Sean from the Shot said the guy you're talking about was on the show Bring It. Possibly, I didn't watch that show, just like I didn't watch the show either. I wouldn't have known this show existed if it wasn't for him. But yeah, there's some sick people out here, but we all know that, unfortunately. It's way too many sick. These pervs got to be expunged from every aspect of life. I said being a perverted individual like this, like, is literally high up on the list of people. And I'm gonna use a terminology that the amazing Lucas uses. Those are the type of people that need to be yeeted off of the planet. For me, that you cannot come back from this. There's no way you can come back from this. Well, it is what it is. But now let's move on to our next story. And this story right here, unfortunately, does not surprise me, as this kind of thing happens so often, but it doesn't get talked about a lot. So in Michigan, it got exposed. Well, first off, I've been to the gun range before, and I've never seen posters like this before. But in the state of Michigan, at a gun range, it got exposed that there were multiple pictures of black men used as targets. Here's one right here. Here's one right here. But if you can look on the screen right here, it literally goes all the way across. It's not like it was just one target. It was multiple targets of black men used as targets at the gun range. And when I first heard about this, I said to myself, This happened in Florida because there was a story about a young woman who went to the gun range, just getting some practice, and she noticed something very odd and very familiar to her. And that odd and familiar thing was that it was a poster of a black man at the range, but not only that, but the black man who was on the poster was her brother's mugshot. So imagine how traumatizing that had to be for her to actually see something like that. Mind you, her brother was still alive. He just was locked up. But they used his mugshot as one of the posters to shoot at. And she alerted the authorities about that, and it became a story and everything. If y'all live in Florida, y'all probably heard about it. So here you have this right here. Now, what's also interesting is I know for gun ranges, at least the one I've gone to, you have to buy the posters. So that means these people were buying these posters. Like they had them up there on the wall, and you can go and pick whatever posters you want to pick. Like there's some wild, a lot of interesting ones up there. I know one I saw was aliens. I thought I was looking at Men in Black, but you have to buy these posters to use to shoot at the range. And it's amazing. They picked the one that had the black face on it. Now, this is all intentional because they always have to put out this narrative that black men are the boogeymen of society. And, we just have to be taken down and put down and taken out and all types of stuff like that. And of course, they gave a quote unquote apology for using the pictures as if that apology is going to land. That apology, I'm sure, felt really, really flat. Donna said it's probably more ranges like that. I'm almost sure of it. I'm almost sure that it is. Now, see, some ranges, if they have a mock-up picture of, say, a person, it's just like a drawing. It's almost like artwork. But as you can see, what makes this different is that this is a real man. This person in this picture is real. That's not a person they just said, let me think of an imaginary black man and just draw it up. No, this is an actual person who is living or maybe not living or has lived. At least when I went to the range, because I used to have the posters up, I don't have them up anymore. These were drawings, like mock-up drawings. So the people weren't even real. But this person definitely was real. You can tell this is a picture that was taken. Tildar says was really bad is that I bet there are black cops on the force that probably took part in it too. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be in the least surprised. Still, Rain said they will go berserk if black people ever use white images or those people who wish they were white as target practice. You already know. Shout out to UJ Lobby. Said happy Micah Johnson Day. Happy Micah Johnson Day to you too. And happy Micah Johnson Day to everyone in the chat. We don't need to put his day on a calendar. Not that they would. But they'll put Christopher Columbus on the calendar. Go figure. But that's fine. Because we, like I said, we make our own holidays over here. So we already had Malcolm X Day. Now we got Micah Johnson Day. Gavin Long Day is next. Just giving y'all a heads up. Gavin Long Day is next. It's coming up like in a couple weeks. Just saying. We're making our own days over here. But yeah, back to this. If any person who is black goes to the range and y'all see something like this, definitely report it and express your outrage. Like, what is this? Now let's move on to the next story. First one we got to talk about is Kimberly Elise. Kimberly Elise, as we all know, she's an actress. She's been acting since like 96. In case y'all didn't know, Kimberly Elise, her first role or her first major role was Set It Off. And then she's been acting in different movies ever since. But recently, she has sparked outrage because of her stance on Roe v. Wade. So what did Kimberly Elise say that got a lot of women's panties in a bunch? Let's go ahead and get into it. Actress Kimberly Elise expressed her praise for the Supreme Court's overturning of Roe v. Wade, drawing criticism from fans on social media. On Friday, the Supreme Court voted to strike down Roe v. Wade, a nearly 50-year-old ruling that protected a pregnant woman's right to choose to have an abortion. And if y'all have not watched my video on Norma McCorvey, I highly suggest that you do. The ruling brought forth a weekend of protests and outrage from abortion rights activists. However, on Tuesday, one actress showed her public support of the overturning. Kimberly Elise, known for her roles in Tyler Perry's Diary of a Mad Black Woman and The Manchurian Candidate, posted an animation on Instagram depicting a baby and quoting Psalm 139:13-14 in the caption. Elise wrote, "Millions of babies will be saved from death by abortion due to the overturning of Roe v. Wade. Hallelujah." Her post was met with mixed reactions from fans online. One user on Twitter mentioned the disparity in pregnancy-related deaths for Black and white women, writing, "Kimberly Elise celebrates abortion being overturned in a country with a terrible mortality rate for pregnant Black women. I'll add that even if the mortality rate wasn't terrible, I'm still pro-choice, but it's kind of even more ghoulish and foolish to celebrate considering that." Another user brought up the plot line for the 2010 film For Colored Girls, in which Elise starred alongside Kerry Washington, Whoopi Goldberg, and Janet Jackson, where abortion was a topic. The Twitter user wrote, "Kimberly Elise was literally in For Colored Girls. Need I remind her of the abortion plot point?" Others, however, argue that the 55-year-old actress, who has always been vocal about her religious beliefs on social media, was allowed to express her opinions. Kimberly Elise has an opinion and view that's unique to her. Some people will agree and others will disagree. We don't have the same views on anything, but let's not act like y'all ain't gonna watch Diary of a Mad Black Woman moment it comes on TV again. Writer JC wrote. Another user wrote, "Y'all be so quick to cancel celebrities that doesn't share the same opinions as the masses. Kimberly Elise is entitled to feel how she feels about abortions." And Florida Republican congressional candidate Laverne Spicer expressed her support for Elise as well, writing, "Kimberly Elise is being attacked because she is a Black woman who is pro-life. To the libs, we're nothing but the N-word if we aren't liberals. I was never called that word on my entire life until I ran as a Republican. Now it's a daily thing. Kimberly, don't bend and stay strong." I don't know why she decided to throw a political stance into it. Like, she could have just like left the political part out of it. I don't know why she had to do that, but okay, fine. And that's pretty much the entire article right there. Listen, she's entitled to feel how she feels. That is her choice. She happens to be pro-life. But we all know that they had to come down hard on her about this whole situation. And I keep telling people, Roe v. Wade, the overturning of Roe v. Wade, that is a PC woman thing. We keep expressing that over and over and over again. It is what it is. But see, the thing is, if you don't express if your opinion doesn't line up with anybody else's, then your opinion has to be wrong. That's why a lot of people don't like to speak out about certain things, because they are fearful of getting backlash behind it. And that's another thing. They don't like to talk about the real reason of why a lot of these PC women are mad about, or why a PC in general wants this thing overturned. We already know the deal. We've already expressed it time and time again what the real reason is, but mainstream media is not going to talk about it. However, you had Mary Miller last week mention how it was the preservation of white life. She said the silent part out loud. And people wanted to act so surprised that she said that. I'm not surprised she said it. As a matter of fact, I'm glad she said it, because, like I said, she said the silent part out loud. It just is what it is. They know what time it is, and they know they don't have that much time. So shout out to her for expressing her opinion. Now, let's get into another person who expressed their opinion and got some backlash behind it as well. And that would be Macy Gray. But this time it's not talking about Roe v. Wade. It's talking about Hall T. And you know, if you have any criticisms against Hall T, they are prepared to attack. So Macy Gray went on to Piers Morgan, of all people, but she went on Piers Morgan recently, and they started talking about the academy, and Hall T came up, basically saying about them claiming to be women and everything like that. And she basically said in so many words, like, look, if you want me to call you a woman, I'll call you a woman, but at the end of the day, you're not a woman. Like, biologically, you're not a woman. You don't know what it is to be a woman. You never was born a female and had to grow up as a girl and then go into womanhood. Like, you literally came into, quote unquote, being a woman when you were already an adult or more past the puberty stages. And she got hit and slammed hard by Hall T for what she said. She got hit hard by that. They start to, of course, they call her TERF. I've seen that term before, but I never knew what it meant. And basically, it's just basically someone who's like anti-trans. That's basically what it is. It's an acronym for something, because it's TERF. It's an acronym for something, but that's what they refer to her as. And I think that actress Bette Midler, I think she said something along the same lines as well, and they came at her too. But I really more so heard them coming at Macy Gray more than anything. And I said she kind of had the same effect that Kimberly Elise did. She's black, so she's an easier target. Unfortunately for Macy Gray, I guess the heat was a little too much for her, that she couldn't be more like J.K. Rowling, and she ended up kind of folding and kind of backpedaling what she said, even though what she said wasn't pretty much accurate. It was actually 100% accurate. That's why I told people, I don't know if I could be famous, because when you're famous in any capacity, you are bound by contract. If you do not abide by the contractual rules, then you will be shunned. Even if you're correct on your stance. She said nothing wrong. She said trans women are not real women. They're basically playing dress up. They're going to get operations to go and live that of a woman, but they're not really a woman. On a molecular level, you will always be an XY chromosome card carrying male. On a molecular level. But a lot of them don't like science either, so there's that. Spidey said Boosie gets attacked all the time for saying similar stuff. Yeah, they really hate him. AK Sour Guy says, gotta move like Dave and the B1 family. We got F these culture for. Exactly. Dave Chappelle is another perfect example. They hated Dave Chappelle for so long to the point where they started doing some underhanded tactics and ended up backfiring on all of them. Karen said trans women still get prostate cancer, real women don't. Exactly. So they can be mad all they want, but that's not going to change anything. And that goes into that whole thing where now in 2022, you have people out here that can't properly define what a woman is. Like you had, what's her name, Ketanji Brown Jackson, when they had asked her on the stand, like when they was questioning her, to become the next SCOTUS, and they asked her a simple question, what is a woman? And she said she couldn't answer it. I'm like, aren't you a woman? You mean to tell me that you as a woman can't answer what a woman is? Like, that was so embarrassing. All you had to say was, get pregnant. She has the XX chromosome. She can have periods. No, the things that you have gone through as a woman. There you go. You have a menstrual cycle. Like, how hard was that? How is it that I could literally just give out and throw out little key words about what a woman is, but her as an actual woman who has been living as a woman for 40 plus years couldn't answer that simple question? I don't care if you felt like it was a trick question. Just answer it. That made me so mad. That was crazy to me. To all the ladies that's following me right now, that's in this chat right now, didn't that make you mad when they asked her, can you define what a woman is? And she says, I can't answer that? Because if I am upset and mad about it as a man, I know you are pissed as a woman to have heard that or hear her say that, especially since she's a black woman herself. And that is exactly why you have people in Hall T running around here claiming they are women. Some are claiming they are more women than actual women. You have people like that saucy Santana talking about black women aren't feminine, or he can be more feminine than actual women. It's gotten to that point. 2022, y'all. This is 2022. Let me move on to the next story. And let me talk about this Wade McElwin, who got into, he literally, listen, he looks like a wet dog. He got into, they call it road rage, but I think it was something else. They said this guy fired at least 14 times at another vehicle. Mind you, the person that he shot at was a black man. Thank God the black man survived. It says a Georgia driver is accused of firing multiple shots at another vehicle during what authorities have reportedly called a road rage incident. On Highway 92 in Cherokee County, local deputies said defendant Wade McElwin, age 61 of Ackworth, shot at least 14 rounds, according to WSB-TV. McElwin is accused of blocking victim Jason Daxon, age 25, from passing him several times. The 61-year-old then opened fire on the younger man. Both vehicles were stopped at the traffic light at the intersection of Highway 92 and Woodstock Road when McElwin began firing through his driver's side window, the sheriff's office explained in a press release obtained by the Telegraph of Macon, Georgia. Daxon turned and headed in the other direction, but McElwin kept firing. The 25-year-old was shot twice but managed to pull off the road. According to the WSB report, he remained conscious and alert and was taken to the hospital. From there, the television station said he is expected to survive. Now, this is the picture of the vehicle that the victim was driving. As you can see, his window is pretty much damn near shattered, because I can see the hole right there where the gun shots went through. But I think they actually do have a video right here, actually, of it happening.
I hope you glad you don't send yourself to jail by accident. Yeah, I'm gonna send myself to jail. Don't worry.
Why does this thing want to?
Ah! Oh my God! What is it? Oh my fucking God! Ah! Shh, shh.
Thank God! Thank God! Just stay right here.
Was that a gun?
Stay right here.
Okay, so y'all saw it right there. That's the video right there. Y'all heard the gunshots right there. And let me go back a little bit. Hold on, let me see if it'll play. Hold on, y'all. I don't know why it's not playing. Okay, I don't know why I just decided not to want to play anymore. But anyway, the car that you saw pulling off, that was the Jason Daxon guy. That was the victim pulling off the other way. And this blue car right here is the one that the shooter was shooting, because he shooting at it from the side. That's why you saw the driver's side window was shattered like that. He just literally pulled out his gun and just started firing. And the thing is, he was the one that was the aggressor the entire time. Like the victim was trying to get around him, and the shooter was constantly blocking him from going around him, just being an asshole the whole time. And the minute he pulled up beside him, he rolled down that window and just started firing multiple shots from his car into this man's car. And then that's when he drove off and pulled off to the side. Light Vision says they only charge him with reckless driving and endangerment. What about attempted murder? Exactly. I'm like, are we going to just sit here and pretend like this guy did not just pull out a gun and shoot into this man's window? And we have it right here. His window is shattered. And we heard the gunshots. Yes, it says it right here. Charged with aggravated assault, reckless conduct, and reckless driving. That was it. Like Light Vision said, no attempted murder, even though that's what it was. I hope that this black man sues the hell out of that guy for what he did. Seeing as how that's as far as it's going to get. They probably going to try to offer him some kind of a settlement, most likely. Gary Johnson said, let me guess he pled insanity. I don't know what he's pleading. Let me scroll down and see if he pled anything. I don't see anything about a plea. A.E. Norris said if the victim was Asian, it would be a hate crime. Oh, most definitely. Without a doubt. For sure. I think I saw someone in here that said you got to have your power tools ready. That's exactly why, because you just never know. And then you got to say this guy was determined to shoot at this guy, because you got to think how the cars are lined up. We all know the driver's side is on the left side. So that means when he rolled down his window, he literally had to shoot from his driver's side, which is further away than being on the passenger side, which is, of course, the right side. And he had to point that gun right there and just start firing. And he just kept firing and didn't stop. Like he was trying to take this man out. But let's just hypothetically say, let's go with this road rage thing that they want to play games with. What if I told y'all about PC? They have some of the worst road rage ever. I have done stories about some of the worst road rage that PC has. One of the craziest ones I think I've read was when this guy, I think it was some person had cut the guy off. The guy got so mad that he ended up pulling off of the exit where the person was at, literally followed the person into a parking lot. I think it was a Walmart, and then just went up to the person and just started shooting at them. All because the person cut them off. I'm sure there are more of them, but no one has more road rage or some of the worst road rage than PC does. But this, to me, was not road rage. This was something else. Because if road rage leads to you shooting at someone 14 times, that's not road rage. That's something more sinister. But let me move on now to the last story of the day, and that's the Jalen Walker body cam stuff. And I'm gonna be honest, I saw this in glimpses, and I really didn't watch it like that, which is why I'm so glad that Professor Black Truth, on his Moment of Truth that he did yesterday, he was breaking down this body cam footage. But they're already trying to do the cover up. They've been trying to do the cover up. But what's interesting is all the spins that they tried to come out with when it pertains to this story has been backfiring against them in a very intense way. Like any type of lie that they try to come up with when it comes to this story, it literally backfires against them. Because none of it makes any sense. None of it. AK Saga said BT did a great job with that bit. You're right, he did. And the people are still out there protesting, as we can see. They're still out there. And rightfully so. They need to stay out there and stay on them. If pull-up season has to occur, which it most likely probably will, then let it occur. Still blows my mind. This man was shot 60 times. Out of 90 shots, he was shot 60 times. And like I said last week, he was already dead by the time all 60 of them shots hit. and he was put in cuffs after he was on the ground. He was already dead. Why would you put cuffs on a dead body? Vulcan said that was an execution. Yes, most definitely. That was an execution style shooting. Murder. Ashton said his sister doesn't believe any of this, and she shouldn't. Nobody does. Nobody does. Well, with the exception of a few, I'm not going to say no names. Honestly, says they think like Mike Brown, we have superhuman powers. Yeah, they think we're mutants or something like that. If they keep firing, we won't get back up. Nope, we bleed like everybody else. Because like everything that they said that happened, the video contradicts all of that. Every last bit of it. Like I said, if y'all really want a breakdown of the video, like of the body cam footage, go watch Professor Black Shoe's moment of truth that he did yesterday. He literally, that was one of his more lengthier MOTs because a lot of times his MOTs are like less than 15 minutes, but this one was over 20 minutes. And he literally broke down that whole thing. He broke down the body cam footage and the little reports that they put out there, and none of them add up. None of them. Oh, I appreciate it. James Smith's a member for 4 months. I can't believe I've had that membership open for 4 months. Peace and blessings, good brother. Well, peace and blessings to you. Ashley said they keep saying he had a gun. I don't even think he had a gun. Didn't they say that they didn't find no residue? Still Rain said shot 60 times while they brought in the incel with the rifle in Highland Park perfectly fine and okay. Exactly. And speaking of that, Still Rain, so many things are still coming out about that, especially his parents. I think I read somewhere on Twitter before I started this live up that it was some more stuff coming out about his parents. Like his parents are some effed up people themselves, especially that dad of his. Karen said they found a gun in the car afterwards. Suspect. Yeah, that sounds like they planted it. And I wouldn't be surprised if they did because they've been known to do that, especially in the Baltimore PD. They've been known to plant drugs and guns. Law 064, so he has no criminal record. So they can't. So now they can't dig up anything on him to try to say, "Oh, this is why we did it." Not that it should matter because this is two different things. Kieran said his dad bought him a gun after the family complained that he was making threats. Well, there you go. In my opinion, that means he was complicit. Lock him up too. Afro said they wouldn't have shot an animal that many times. Of course. Well, hold on. I got to correct you on that one, Afro. They might have. Let's not forget. Like, you got them poachers out in Africa or in them safaris that's going out there killing elephants and all types of wildlife and taking pictures with them and posting them up on social media. And before you know it, you have another lion head or a deer head or a boar head or a hog head hanging on the mantle in a cabin in the woods somewhere. So they are probably taking out these animals. Why do you think some of these animals going extinct? Because of them. Yeah, Tom Petty said Harambe. Yeah, they was real mad about the Harambe situation. They was willing to let that little black boy get sacrificed by that gorilla. But when they had to put the gorilla down and save the black boy, they got so upset that they couldn't get anything on the mother. So they went after the father who wasn't there. And they went back 10 years into his past to pull up his criminal record as if that was going to do anything. Ashton said, and even if he had a gun, so what? Ohio is an open carry state. Exactly. But like I said, us versus them. What they set out for them, they don't want it to set out for us. Delphine Johnson, first time being here. Well, hopefully it won't be your last, and welcome. But yeah, this is going to be a very heavily watched story. Now, I want it to go a particular way, but I won't be surprised if it goes a particular way, if you get what I mean. But if it does go that other particular way, the people of Akron know what they're going to have to do. And someone said I wouldn't be surprised if this was revenge for what happened a couple weeks ago when you had that PC boy. Thought it was a good idea to shoot those gel pellets at those black boys on that basketball court, and they ran up on them and they beat them to death. Because that happened in Akron too. So I'm not sure. I don't want to jump out the window and completely reach with that, but that was recent and it did happen in the same city. But see, the difference is between those two is that that boy got what he deserved. He should have, what do they like to tell us? Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. That's exactly what happened to him. But we'll see. But anyway, y'all, that was my last story of the day. Shout out to everybody who came through. Shout out to everybody who hit the super chat, sent me a dono. I do definitely appreciate it. Again, this is Micah X Johnson Day. Find a way to celebrate it. I don't care if you have to go to the range today, if you haven't gone so already, and just let off a few rounds in honor of our fallen brother. Because, you know, we don't get many like that every day. I'm just being honest. Shout out to Keith Cunningham for the dono. He says PC was shot 36 times in Virginia. Was that a new one? Is that a new one? Because I don't remember seeing that one. But anyway, shout out to everybody who came through. Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Of course, you know I will be back on here tomorrow with 2 videos. I definitely really want y'all to pay attention to that first video because that's the story right there I have not seen one news outlet talk about. I'm telling y'all, y'all thought the one I talked about today with Lance Stores was just one. No, I have a few videos coming about PC on PC crime, especially when the PC is going against the person who's PC and a cop or cops. I'm throwing it back at them. Because I'm tired of PC constantly throwing stuff at us and we ain't throwing nothing back. I'm throwing all of what I can back at them. Like I said, I may not have the reach of a CNN or MSNBC or Fox News, but I'm doing what I can. But I'm leaving it up to y'all because y'all got to share that information. So when I put it out there, definitely let it be seen and push it out as far as you can. But I'm going to go ahead and right now, I will